expecting disappointment. Hello there, gamers. Today we're going to be looking at the 12-in-1 Legends Flashback Blast Space Invaders Edition.
Oh no, not again.
If you will recall, I did the Pac-Man one fairly recently, and it got a meh, maybe if you have slow children rating. This time, they are back. Yes, with Space Invaders, Burger Time, and 12 games. That is Burger Time, Burnin' Rubber, I like that game. Escape It, haven't even heard of that one. Frontline, loved that game. Jungle Hunt, Lock and Chase, Miss It, haven't heard of that one either. Polaris, Shield Shifter, I wonder if they made these themselves. I'm a little worried. Space Invaders, Space Raid, and Strip Off, which I believe is a pornographic game. It features Space Invaders, so that's good. Let's, I guess we're on the back already, so looking at the back of the box, of course, we have a description and pictures of some of the games, which tells me I'm not sure what versions these are. Last time they put arcade pictures on the back, and it led you to think it was arcade. I didn't really comment on it because I'm used to unboxing Chinese stuff, which totally lies about what's in there, so I don't even register like false false visuals anymore. So sorry about that if I didn't mention it during the video, which I know I didn't. On the side it says it is easy to set up. Plug the dongle into an available HDMI port. Power the dongle with the included micro USB cable. Connect the cable to a USB port or USB AC adapter, not included. Hated that last time. Set your TV to the selected HDMI port and connect the wireless controller and have a blast. Nice artwork. Front, nice artwork, because it's all pretty much stolen. No, well, it's not stolen. I mean, they licensed it, but borrowed. Borrowed's the word. No wires. Included 2.4 gigahertz wireless controller gives you the range and peak performance you crave with up to 150 hours of battery life. Wow. HD performance. HDMI dongle plugs right into your TV to power the fun. You really want to get an extension cable for that. Otherwise, it may well block any ports it's next to. Now, if you happen to have a HDMI port that is separate from the others, okay. Anyway, superb 1080i visuals, I hope so. And HD output mean these classics look and sound better than ever. Hopefully they didn't put that crappy filter on this time. Save and load. Save and load games on the fly. Pick up right where you left off. I did like that feature in the last one, thought it worked really well. The bottom. Here we go, age 15 plus. Again, don't feed it to the children. Another list of the games on here, some licensing crap. And you can recycle the box. And you can scan a code and have a blast. Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. All right, that's about it. Let's unbox this puppy.
Retro Rock plays everything.
Yet again, some typical @Games packaging. We now get some cheap Space Invaders stickers. They're kind of thin, like the gloss on them. Pretty sure they'll wear out. I don't know. I'll stick them up and see how they last, but they do feel pretty darn cheap. But I do like the print. It's very nice. We have another blast sheet, and it shows all the other classic game systems. Should I go through them again? I guess I will. Activision Flashback Blast, Atari Flashback Blast version 1, Atari Flashback Blast version 2, Atari Flashback Blast version 3, Legends Flashback Blast, and Bandai Namco Flashback Blast, which we reviewed before and thought was not that great. In the box, we have the blast itself. There's the dongle. This is the problem. This is very wide and can block other HDMI ports if you are using all your HDMI ports. So again, what I did is I just got a extension cord, HDMI extension, and that worked just fine. Next we have the controller itself. As last time, it's exactly the same controller, ABC, XYZ. Usually it doesn't seem to use the XYZ. We got a menu button, a rewind button, which works really, really well. I like it a lot, but I don't like the position because I'm used to having start here and I will accidentally hit the rewind when I mean to hit start. That is kind of an annoyance. I guess I'll have to grow up and deal with it though. And there is the start button as mentioned. The D-pad does work pretty well, at least if it holds with the other one. And the buttons work fine even though they feel kind of cheap. It is very light. It says P1 on here for player 1. There is an on-off switch. And on the back, we have a spot for our AA batteries. I'm sorry, AAA batteries. Should know that by now. Finally, we have the USB power cable, which does not include it doesn't include an AC adapter, which is so annoying. I'm getting sick of that. Come on, guys. I mean, you gotta get AC adapters with something now. You know, you can't just not include it with anything. You gotta have one to work off of. Anyway, place this in here. Push it in. You can connect this to your TV if it has HDMI.
USB.
Or, of course, you're going to need a really long extension like I do to play it. Alright, so that is it about the buttons and contents of the box. Let's plug it in and play some.
Retro Rob plays everything.
And here we are at the main menu of the Legends Flashback Blast. These are the games. Space Invaders, it's their own homebrew version of it, by the way. Burger Time, Burnin' Rubber, Escape It, which is another homebrew game that's specific to this device. Frontline, Jungle Hunt, Lock and Chase. Miss It, another one specific to this device. Polaris, Shield Shifter, Space Raid, and Strip Off. All three of those are just from this device. So we've got, 12 games here. And a lot of them are kind of homebrew. The Space Invaders is quite good. Let's go take a look at it. I don't really have any specific complaints about it, but we've seen it before. And we'll just do one quick round. One note on here is you can see that it has the anti-aliasing on, which is something I complained about in the last version. Still a problem here. Hasn't been changed. The shots are a little bit fast, which makes this game a little bit easier than many versions, but I don't think it's a bad version of Space Invaders necessarily. I think it's pretty good, and it looks nice. I really don't. I'm really not a hater on this particular version of Space Invaders. I think they did just a fine job at it, or on it, with it. Whatever. Definitely could be worse. So you keep shooting them. They keep getting faster. It's Space Invaders. I think you know the drill. I usually like to shoot them down to 4. Ooh, that was a miss. Alright, let's go try another game. Burger Time. The first thing you're going to notice is this is the Atari 2600 version of Burger Time. And it is often regarded, in fact, I think always regarded, as the worst version of Burger Time there is. Maybe there's an LCD game out there somewhere, but this is definitely not the best home conversion. It's not even the best that Atari has to offer for this kind of thing. It does play okay with the controller. There's nothing wrong with the emulation per se. It's just baffling why they would use this version of Burger Time when they have the NES version in their portfolio. But let's take a moment to show you a couple features. Let's see. Let's do this. All right. Let's say I regret running over that burger part. I can hit the rewind button and boom, undo my mistake. Unfortunately, you know, with Atari games, there's really not a whole lot of times where you can use this function, but it's a nice function to have. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not unwelcome. I think that's a nice feature. Next thing, let's go into the menuing system. I'm gonna hit the menu. I can save my game by hitting A, and I will be able to go back to it. There we go, save successful. Also, I can use the B button and the Y button to adjust difficulty if the game so has it. See? Easy, hard, easy, hard. Pretty nice. I can adjust it for the second player too if I happen to have purchased a second blast controller. Why I would do that, pretty much beyond me, because there's only a few games that support it on this system. I think only 3 or 4. Alright, let's look at the next game. Burnin' Rubber. This version is, of course, the Atari 2600 version of Burnin' Rubber. Get used to that, because all these games are the Atari 2600 versions. They probably should have mentioned the fact that these are all Atari games on the cover, which I don't think they did. And I really didn't give them too much crap in the past for this, but on some of these games, it's really pretty ridiculous, because I can't see any reason why you would use the Atari 2600 versions of these games over much more competent NES versions of it. Other than the fact that the NES versions have been played to death. And I did complain and say I really wish they quit using NES ROMs. I guess you should be careful what you wish for. That said, as an Atari 2600 game, Burnin' Rubber is competent enough. It's not a terrible version, but again, this is the weakest of all possible versions that I have played. That's all I really have to say about this. Next we have Escape It, which is kind of like Maze Craze, but a little bit simpler. Basically, I want to make it to the top left corner before the other player, which doesn't exist, so I guess I'm just playing against the clock. Sometimes you'll get caught in the wall. By the way, that was it. That was a round of the game. Sometimes you'll get caught in the wall for a little while, and that'll really throw you off. Here we go. Nope, not yet. But anyway, very simple. I don't really know what the appeal of this game would be, except maybe the 2-player mode. And I can't imagine purchasing another controller to just play this. Alright, let's go on. Alright, Front Line. This is a game I absolutely loved in the arcades and played it to death back in the day. It gobbled a lot of my quarters, and I was so excited when I heard they were going to have an Atari 2600 port. I bought it right away when it came out, and this is what I got. Oh, forget E.T. being responsible for the crash. This kind of stuff caused the crash. Even in its day, this was considered a very mediocre port at best. It does have some positives to it. They did keep the tanks that were in the original game, so that's kind of nice. So you can actually jump into a tank and start using it. That's pretty cool. Here's a tank, in fact. Yeah, you get out of here. That's pretty cool. There's 2 different types of tanks, too. There's this one, which is a missile tank, and then there is the other one, which is a machine gun tank, and it's a lot faster. You'd rather use the machine gun tank because everything in this game right now is one-hit kill anyway. So just take the faster tank. The original game would branch sideways, just had a lot more variation in it. So I don't know what the use of this particular port is, and I really, given any other port of this particular game, I don't know why they use this one. Just kind of bizarre. All right, let's go on to the next game. Jungle Hunt. Now here's something worth playing. Atari was really on their game when they made this. I don't mind this port of the game at all. It does feel like the arcade. They obviously put a lot of time into it. Shows in the gameplay. It is fun. I am not complaining about this one. Ooh, that was tough. That was tough too. The only part of this that's kind of a pain is the final stage. It's like so impossible to jump and duck properly. But again, the original game was hard too, so no real complaints. Has 3 screens of greatness. Don't forget to breathe, by the way. You do get to kill alligators, which is a lot of fun. Sorry, PETA folks. Ooh, I did. Ooh, I died. I did die there. Usually I don't. It's a lot harder to play this game when you can't hear it. Just going to get to the last screen real quick so you can see the third mode. And get him. Got him. And swim past. This game most certainly was no disappointment to the kids getting it for Christmas. Not at all. Well, I'm getting lucky. Don't be late. Yeah. Ah. All right, let's look at the next game. Lock and Chase. Again, of all the versions of Lock and Chase, the Atari 2600 version is the poorest. It's not terrible. It's not a bad game on the Atari 2600. It's just that there wasn't a whole lot of effort put out by the original designers of it to make it more congruent with the other versions. It's basically just, you know, a cash-in. That said, Lock and Chase is a fun game. Even this version. Get away. Don't know why I'm not blocking them off. Oh, you jerk. Why would it drop? What the heck? Oh, I'm playing poorly. Run. Get those last 2. Door opens. And I'm out of here. Speaking of I'm out of here, let's try another game. And here we have Miss It, where you basically play this little black dot here, and you try to avoid being hit by all the other dots on the screen for as long as possible. You play until you get hit. That's basically it. You know, honestly, this isn't a terrible Atari game. It's kind of fun. I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen its ilk before on the Atari 2600, because you can have a good time with it. It's just a little bit basic, and I don't know, there's not really much else to say about it. Let's go on to the next game. As far as the Atari 2600 is concerned, this is a pretty sweet version of Polaris. Oh, goodness. Hit it. It is not really a bad game. It's a basic game. Come here. But all the elements are there. And it does have this sweet top-down mode after you finish the side-scrolling part. The first round is kind of easy, but the second round they start adding mines, and it becomes much more difficult. Let's just go one more level. Let's make it to level 2. There's really no use in shooting right now. There we go. So now I got 3 planes. Did I mention this gets ridiculously hard really fast? It's funny because the first level's so easy. And then you get this where I just constantly hit these dang mines. I wish I could blame the controls, but the controls work just fine. So, whatever. There we go. You've pretty much seen all that Polaris has to offer. Let's go on to the next game. Here's Shield Shifter, and this is the most promising of the homebrew games. I like this one. It's pretty fun. It's a little bit like Yar's Revenge without, like, the Yar. But you basically shoot out these blocks and try to kill the guy that's firing at you. It's gonna happen. Come here. You need to die. No. Especially nice touch is some of the shots actually stay on the screen for a little bit, and if you hit them, you die. So if I run into that, I die, and I do that all the time. This game's worth coming back to. I just don't know if it's worth buying the entire collection for. Still, it is a fun game. And the rewind is very useful in it. Nice. Alright, before I start Space Raid, I want you to see the cover, which is absolutely a Zaxxon ripoff. Now, if anybody remembers Zaxxon on the Atari 2600, it was a huge disappointment. It was terrible. So I guess these guys were trying to right the wrong of the original Zaxxon, and they... I don't know. I don't think they succeeded in writing it at all. It is more ambitious than the original. There is definitely the ability to move up and down and in a 3D space, but it's super limited, and once you get inside the base, it becomes very clear that you're having a hard time controlling the ship. And yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna fly over this. It's very flashy. And then I'm gonna try, darn it. Oh, so frustrating. All right, so I'm gonna go down to the bottom here. I'm gonna try moving left and right. That's as far left as I'm capable of moving. So because I'm stuck on this very tiny smidgen of space when I'm trying to fight these things, it's really hard to play the game. It's like it's unfinished. It's too bad because I think it was an honest, or at least the start of an honest attempt to do a decent Zaxxon style game on the Atari 2600 hardware. But unfortunately, in the end, because the controls are all screwed up, it just doesn't work out. Next. And finally, we have Strip Off, which is a ripoff of Ripoff. It's interesting. So basically, these guys are trying to steal your blocks, and you move left and right and fire, trying to stop them. But there is a couple of fatal flaws in this game that stop it from being fun. Number one, notice that I cannot move all the way to the end. It makes it super difficult to chase down these enemies as they're stealing your blocks because you can't go very far. You've only got, like, I don't know, a couple inches, maybe 3 tops. And so you just end up trying to fight one side and get them before they they run off the screen. But it's an exercise in futility. The creatures eventually go too fast for your gun to keep up. It looks like sometimes the gun is going through, and finally, you cannot move all the way to the left or the right, so you are basically hamstrung as they're stealing your stuff. It is a great idea. Unfortunately, the execution on it is not good. Oh, by the way, every once in a while, the game's supposed to end when you lose all of your blocks, but every once in a while, it'll end with one block left. God darn it! Look at that. So just stay on one side, I guess. You know, and you're probably gonna miss half the time anyway. There we go. At least I made it to level 2. There's something. Okay, so the Space Invaders Legends Flashback Blast. What is my opinion? Well, I hate to jump on the bandwagon. I really think that this bandwagoning that's going on is ruining any innovation in gaming. Anything new that comes out, you've got to hate on. But sometimes a band is going in the right direction. Let's start with the good stuff. The good stuff is the controller works really well, even at a distance. It's pretty nice. It feels a little bit cheap, but I'll tell you, it never missed a beat. It plays games well. I like the rewind function. Works great. I like the save function. It's nice and simple. It works great. So, with this good controller, that great rewind function, and the ability to save games easily, it would be nice if they would use better games. Alright, so the problem is the games. So let's break them down. We've got Burger Time, which they used, I think, universally the worst version of Burger Time there's probably ever been. It wasn't great by Atari standards, so why they used it is beyond me when they clearly have the rights to the NES version, which is far superior. Burnin' Rubber, again, it's not a terrible game by Atari 2600 standards. I really didn't hate it in the day, but it was a weaker version than many they could have used. Frontline, ditto. Oh, yeah, there was Escape It. Escape It, it wasn't even complete. It wasn't even a complete game. I don't want to start getting into rant mode. I'm just going to go through it and try and keep level. Jungle Hunt, not a bad version. Really good Atari 2600 version. There's better versions to be had, but it's fun to play. I'm not going to complain about that one. Lock and Chase, again, a fine game to play. Don't mind coming back to it. I did play it a few times, even when I was just testing. I came back to it a couple times, but it's not the best version of Lock and Chase out there. I'm looking down at the list so I can remember what all I played here. Miss It, not bad, but a real basic game. I don't know how much value it added. It was fun to play. I actually did come back to that one and play it a bit. Polaris, again, it's a good game. I don't know how many people remember it even being at the arcades. I don't know what the draw was for it, but it's a solid enough game. Shield Shifter, bravo. That was a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. Again, it's very basic. It's an Atari 2600 game, but it did what it does well. Also, that's an original. I don't remember that game ever being released. Next, we have Space Invaders. It's a fine, competent version. I know a lot of people like to rag on it because it's not the original Atari version, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's fun to play. Space Raid. Yeah. That one gets an incomplete. And Strip Off gets a frustratingly incomplete. That game is just wrong. Alright, so all in all, I have to give this a regrettable thumbs down. I would not pay $20 for this again. unless some of the Atari 2600 originals are something that you really have to have, this has all been done before on earlier Atari flashbacks that you can still get on clearance at about the same price as this. And minus the HDMI and the wireless, they're larger collections with better Atari games on them. So I would recommend you probably go get that if you're burning to play some Atari 2600 games. So, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm sorry about it. I usually try to have more positive to say, but it was hard this time. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I will see you in a couple days. Hopefully on something much better. Bye. You know, not even the stickers really make up for